neckcloth. "We were," Deverell said with a shrug, his golden curls glinting in the chandelier lights as he slipped a hand down to squeeze Juliet's, "but we ran into Gresham on the way there and lost interest. I do seem to have that effect on people," Monteith or Gresham said with a flash of white teeth. As usual, his evening attire was more practical than fashionable, but his broad shoulders and strong thighs filled his coat and breeches impressively. Not that Maddie noticed such things. No, indeed. "They are so overtaken by my charismatic personality that they can think of little else." "Don't flatter yourself, old son," said Winterson, who had gravitated to his wife's side like a magnet to iron. "We came back," he told the cousins, "because we saw Amelia Snow headed this way." "And you came to protect us?" Cecily asked with deceptive sweetness. "It was gallant of you, darling, but you know that we are perfectly capable of handling her ourselves. We've done so for years now, without assistance, I might add." "I would trust you lot to dispatch with any number of villains on your own, my dear," Winterson said, unruffled. "However, she has a friend of ours in tow, who is perhaps not so handy at defeating her as you are, and we thought we might linger nearby lest he needs a helping hand." Before she could ask which friend was ensnared in Amelia's web, Maddie heard Amelia herself from somewhere behind them. "You say the most wondrous things, Lord Fortenbray," the beauty, her voice as sugary sweet as a confection from Gunter's, cooed. "I have never heard my eyes compared to stars before." Maddie shot a speaking glance at Cecily and Juliet. "This is the man you wish me to marry?" She'd remain a spinster before she subjected herself to such empty flattery on a daily basis. As someone who cherished language and words, she found his lack of imagination especially painful. "Good God," Gresham muttered to them sotto voce, his expression pained. "I thought Fort had more imagination than that. Eyes like stars, indeed. I am surprised that Miss Snow doesn't skewer him for such an affront." But Amelia must be of the opinion that any compliment was better than none at all, and poor Lord Fortenbray blundered on. "Miss Snow, I could compose an ode to your eyes and a ballad to your taking lips." At the pause, all of Maddie's party groaned, albeit quietly. "I feel ill," Cecily said, lifting a hand to her midsection, "and it has nothing to do with my interesting condition. How can he degrade himself like that? It's appalling." "A man will do a great deal to impress a beautiful woman," Winterson said, taking Cecily's arm and surreptitiously holding her hand. Maddie averted her eyes and tried to stifle the pang of longing Winterson and Cecily's closeness made her feel. It wasn't that she was jealous of her cousin's happiness. But at times like this, she was forcibly reminded that she still remained very much alone. Even Amelia, who was by far the most annoying young lady of her acquaintance, had managed to ensnare poor Lord Fortenbray. Not that Maddie wanted him for herself, but even so she wished for someone she could call her own. Further conversation was forestalled when Lord Fortenbray, with Miss Snow on his arm, approached them. Maddie watched the pair with curiosity. Amelia was just as lovely as ever, though Maddie had long ago ceased to see her outer beauty as anything other than an empty shell. The real Amelia, if it were ever to manifest itself physically, would resemble a hideous gargoyle. Fortenbray exchanged greetings with the gentlemen, while the ladies offered chilly acknowledgments to one another. It was evident to Maddie that none of them were particularly comfortable with the situation. "Lady Madeline," Amelia said, breaking the silence first, her voice silky as it often was before she delivered a cutting barb. "What an interesting gown! I don't believe I've seen a waist like that since I was a girl. Never say that is one of Madame Celeste's creations. She is usually so au courant." Since Maddie knew full well that Amelia frequented the modiste, she knew the remark had little to do with Madame Celeste and everything to do with the woman wearing the gown. "Indeed it is, Amelia," she returned, not letting a hint of her annoyance show in her face. "Madame Celeste is so talented, but I simply put myself in her hands without trying to second-guess her sense of fashion. She is the expert, after all." Before Amelia could respond, Maddie was startled to hear Gresham speak up. "I think Lady Madeline has never looked finer," the Earl drawled, removing a quizzing glass.